All right, welcome back. So, slow, steady growth as part of a Kaizen method to have small changes that compound over time, small improvements. So, with that being said, we're going to continue with the MBR course. Got about a half an hour here. And before I do any of the reading or anything like that, I just want to say I used it to good effect last night. One of my worst habits is ordering big meals at night and binge eating at night, and I got the urge. I got the urge bad last night. So what did I do? I used mindfulness. I pulled up ChatGPT and I talked to ChatGPT about the urge, and I said I'd like to use mindfulness to like I just want to use mindfulness. Help me use mindfulness. So we sat with the feeling a little bit. I really felt like, where was that feeling? What was that feeling? The feeling was just intense, uncontrollable hunger, right? So, it's so easy to just click a button, have it delivered to the door, you're good, right? But ChatGPT and I came up with a plan. We remembered because I was so mindless at that point about what my goals were. I want to lose weight. I have a carefully defined food plan. If I were to order food, I would no longer be following my food plan. Therefore, I would no longer be working towards my goal of losing weight. Um, and I had no idea what was in my kitchen. I was completely mindless about what was in my kitchen. I just assumed that I had nothing good to eat in my kitchen and I had to order something because nothing could possibly satisfy my hunger that was already in my kitchen. So what ChatGPT and I did is we decided to have more mindfulness and try to get rid of that mindlessness that I had. So we decided to become more mindful of what was into my kitchen. I walked over to my kitchen using the same amount of effort I would use to walk over to the door to get a delivery, and actually far less because I would have to be mindful of delivery person. I would have to pick out what I want. So it is quite a lot of effort. I'd have to, go through the whole thing where I'm spending too much money and it makes me feel depressed. So, I had to do actually considerably less amount of effort than using DoorDash. All I had to do was go and walk into my kitchen. So from there, we became mindful, ChatGPT and I. We talked about the different ingredients in my fridge and in my kitchen, and we talked about things that I could cook that would be super easy, that would take basically no effort at all, and that would be really filling. So I'm a subscriber to Leafside. I've talked about that in my personal channel. So I made a Leafside meal. All you got to do is microwave water until it boils, and then dump a packet of freeze-dried fruits and vegetables into it, and leave it for 10 minutes. That's it. So I did that, and I have a Tex-Mex bowl ready to eat. And the good news is I was not even hungry enough to eat it by the end of this exercise, because we also found a package of colored greens that was like, some of them were turning yellow. I was wondering whether or not I could even use it. So it's a good thing I did, because if I hadn't, I would have had to throw it out. But ChatGPT and I, we got to talking about it. I have all kinds of olive oil. Wasn't mindful of that. So I have the saute setting on my Instant Pot. Wasn't mindful of that. So I just sauteed up I wasn't mindful of even how to saute something. So, once I had that mindfulness and I loaded in all of the memories and protocols and knowledge I needed to do a little bit of cooking, I sauteed those collard greens. When you saute collard greens like that, they turn bright and green. They green up, even if they're going a little yellow. So they turn bright and green, soft and tender and chewy. I put some garlic on it, put some salt on it, and I ended up with this really big bowl of it. And it was that garlic, that salt, that oil, fatty from the oil. Oh man, it satisfied. It hit every spot. It did the same thing that a takeout order does. And perhaps you could make an argument that I ate too much late at night, but it was mostly just collard greens. Like, the oil adds up, but just enough to saute. That's maybe a few tablespoons. So that's like at most like 240, like 360 calories. Under 400 calories. Whereas before, if I got a takeout, I would eat I'd be lucky to eat under 2,000 calories. You know, I was stuffed. I couldn't even, I wasn't even hungry enough to eat my Tex-Mex bowl. And so for far less effort, for zero money, for even making money, because I didn't have to throw away an ingredient that was going bad, I used mindfulness to satisfy my hunger. This morning when I got on the scale, I was happy with the number I saw. So this stuff works. It absolutely works. I'll attest to that. So so let's move on to number 5. We're taking this a week at a time, so we're definitely on schedule. I'm just trying to get through reading all of these. So now it says that you should do at least 6 days of practice and feel that you've gotten the essence of this week through the videos and reading. You are ready to go to week 2. It's not necessary to review any of the supplemental materials. These are totally optional. So I think I might do it in a different order for week 2. I might go right to the practice sheets and then go back to the videos and reading, because we've only got 3 more days, including today, before the week 2 starts. So we've got half the time to actually devote the time to practice these methods here. All right, but let's. So this is a downloadable thing. So let's download it in Word format. Put it in the Mbsr folder, and then we'll also download the informal one for now. All right, and now let's open the formal one. All right, now this is the meat and potatoes of the course. So as I said, I kind of made a mistake in not opening these up now because I don't get enough practice doing it. So next time I'll definitely look at these first. So this is the practice log for week 1. Formal practice. Read, body scan, meditation. On the first day, do the raisin meditation. Have 2 raisins and a glass of water handy. For the next 5 days, do body scan meditation. Don't expect to feel anything in particular from these practices. In fact, give up all expectations about it. Just let your experience be your experience. The audio guidance for all the practices can be found on the left-hand menu of the online course. On a smartphone, tap the menu icon just under Pelosi on the top banner. Note, one of your 6 formal practices can be one of the live group meditations listed on online meditation page. Record on this form each time you do a practice. In the comment field, just put a few words to remind you of your impressions of that particular practice, what came up, how you felt, what you noticed in terms of physical sensations, emotions, thoughts, etc. It's important to write the contents immediately after the practice because it will be hard to reconstruct later. Once you have done at least 6 days of practice and feel that you've gotten the essence of this week, you may go to the next week, although you can stay here longer if that feels right. Informal practice. Each day this week, see if you can bring mindful awareness to some otherwise routine activity and record it in the informal practice log, simple awareness. So now it is hard to go back and remember what you did, but for me it's not too hard. I remember on the 13th, so this was 8/13/2024. I did not do the raisin meditation on body scan. I did HRV. So we could put that in informal practice. Yeah, so we can put that in informal practice for sure. So each day this week, see if you can bring mindful awareness to some otherwise routine activity. For example, washing the dishes, standing in line, sitting in boring meeting, walking from the car to your office. Remembering the raisin exercise, you could also use this as an opportunity to bring mindful awareness to eating, noting textures, smell, taste, touch, etc. Before you go to bed each night, see if you can recall at least one example of simple awareness. So yeah, I can definitely put that example from last night where I decided to stick to my meal plan and spend some time cooking and eating the food I already have. So, but I need a quick break. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. So I'm definitely going to put in informal practice. So example, what was the situation? Where were you? Who were you with? What you were doing? So the situation was on 314, 814, 24. Home at night, winding down, endlessly scrolling on computer, alone. Yeah. What thoughts? What feelings, thoughts, sensations did you notice before you decided to experience this mindfully? Extreme, intense hunger. A feeling in my a feeling of intense pain, of hunger, pain in my stomach area, more lower by my belly button. Yeah, obsessive thoughts about food. Especially ordering out. Yeah. So what thoughts, what feelings, thoughts, and sensations did you notice while doing this mindfully? So I noticed the extreme, intense hunger. Yeah, that's what I noticed. What did you learn from this? I learned that ChatGPT is always there for me, as it says. Learned that I can learned about what was in my kitchen already. Learned how to saute, and then I learned how to make satisfying textures and flavors at home with things I already have. And then what feelings, thoughts, and sensations? And the other thing I learned, learned that a low-calorie bowl of sautéed colored greens makes me uncomfortably full. In a way that prevents the ability to eat further. And then what feelings, thoughts, and sensations are you noticing now? Yeah, some gratitude for sure for making the right choice. Very mild hunger. General feelings of better wellness, the absence of a feeling of being poisoned, which I would get after getting big orders and eating them late at night. especially due to, I think it was due to the salt of being poisoned. No dry mouth. Yeah, so so yeah, there we go. That's the informal. So I'll save that and try to do that more often for sure. It's helpful. It's real stuff. It's real stuff. All right. So then the formal. So read body scan meditation. I think I've probably already read that one. Yeah, I already read that one. So I did do a formal a very brief formal one of that as I read it. Um, but yeah, so we didn't do the raisin meditation yet. So let's do that. Yeah, so let's do the raisin meditation now.
The raisin meditation. Before beginning, you want to start with 2 raisins in a glass of water. So if you need to go get them, pause the video here and go get them so we can.
All right, so I'm gonna go get them. I'll pause the video and be right back. And what I might do is, yeah, I'll pause them and so if you're watching this, just hit the pause button with me right now. 3, 2, 1. All right, I'm back, and I don't have raisins, so I think what we might be doing here is putting them in water. So I have 2 dried and crumpled together leaves of mulberry tea. So if that's what we're gonna do and observe them in the water, these will unfold and create a little bit of tea and look like really cool. So I like this better. If you don't have raisins, use something else. All right, so here we go.
Start. And we'll begin with a breath meditation, just sort of get us in the mood for experiencing the raisins in this way. And so you can just notice how you're sitting, how your feet are making contact with the floor, if they're making contact.
All right, and I'll watch this in regular speed, and I'll actually do the meditation. I'll do the meditation in real time with him in this video. So I'm gonna sit down on my saddle chair for good posture. And notice how I'm sitting, which will be with good posture. And here we go.
With the floor, how your weight is in the chair or whatever it is that you're sitting on. And letting yourself feel sensations of contact, of warmth or coolness. How your hands are resting on the counter or on your lap or wherever they are. And we'll spend a moment just paying attention to breath. And that'll mean for you, there's no right place to feel the breath. It's just wherever you're feeling it. It could be your belly, or it could be your chest, or it could be your nostrils. And so if you want to close your eyes for a moment, you could do that.
And I will say quick, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the right place to feel the breath is in and out through your nostrils. Nose breathing is really good for you. So if you're breathing in and out through your mouth, try through the nostrils. If you can't do it, see a doctor. You might have a nasal obstruction.
Just finding the actual sensations of breathing. And noticing it's not just a breath in and a breath out, there's actually a pause in between where your breath turns around on its own. And there's no need to change your breath in any way because you're breathing just fine. And we'll just do this for a few breaths. When you're ready, letting your eyes open. And we'll begin to pay attention to these raisins because that's what this meditation is about after all. And picking up one of the raisins. And we want to look at this raisin. I want you to pretend for a moment like you'd never ever seen a raisin before, like you just landed from Mars and you wondered what this object is. You might not even know that it's edible. And so you're looking at how the light hits it. You're seeing that it has crevices and indentations. That looks different whether you're looking at it from the side or you're looking at it on end. that its color is, we think of raisins as being black, but the color might actually have some brown in it if you look at it, or some gold. And there's a certain way it feels in your fingers as you touch it. You can roll it around in your fingers and feel that yours might be drier than mine is, but mine feels kind of pliable. So if I press it, it squashes a little bit. You can even see if you can smell anything. And I can detect a little bit of a smell. So I don't have a very good smeller, but I can smell this raisin a little bit. Now I'm going to suggest you try to do something sound kind of strange, which is see if you can hear your raisin. Now, it's not going to make much of a sound, so you're going to need to give it some help. So if you squeeze it a little bit and roll it around your fingers, applying a little pressure, you might be able to hear some crinkling or some popping as things readjust inside. And now, taking that raisin and bring it to your mouth, and of course the tendency is to just pop in your mouth, chew it and eat it and swallow it, but we're going to make this a slower process. So as you bring it to your mouth, placing it on your lips, bring it in the mouth between your teeth, don't break the skin just yet, and roll around in your mouth. And let it visit different parts of your mouth. Then you go to your palate, go to the front of the tongue, and the back of the tongue, over in your cheek. You'll be like a squirrel and put it over your cheek there. Bring it over the other side. Now, if you've been pretty disciplined about this, you haven't broken the skin yet. So when you're ready, just gently tap it with your teeth, just enough so you can break the skin. You may be able to experience a little burst of flavor. It's hard to keep from chewing it. I find myself wanting to chew it now, but just rolling it around, feeling the flavor, changing its shape by pushing it up on your palate. And when you're ready, without taking big bites, just small bites, you might even be able to hear the bites. Feel the flavor, taste the flavor. And you'll notice it's beginning to break up a little bit into smaller pieces. And it's both feeling the raisin in your mouth, tasting the flavors, feeling the textures, hearing the sounds. And the pieces in your mouth get smaller and smaller. That is, if you're able not to already have swallowed it, which is possible. And pretty soon the raisin's gone. You still taste some of the residual flavor of the raisin. When you're ready, taking a little sip of water. Feeling the coolness of the water. You just swish it around in your mouth and swallow that. Now we have a second raisin. And this raisin, of course, it's not the same raisin, it's a different raisin. You might look and see how it's different than the first raisin. This one, I noticed for me, it's a little bit smaller. It's actually a little browner than the other one was. And of course, the wrinkles on it are different. In this raisin, we're going to explore a little bit about where it came from. This raisin didn't always exist as a raisin. It used to be a grape. It was a grape in a vineyard somewhere. And that grape needed certain things in order for it to survive and to grow. It needed sun, it needed soil, it needed a place in which to grow, it needed water, whether from the sky and rain or from irrigation. And if you look really closely, I can just barely see this on this raisin. There's a little place where the stem was. This is the umbilical cord for the grape and for the raisin, a place where all the nutrients came in. Nutrients from the soil and from the sun, from the water. And the soil itself, this raisin couldn't exist without the soil. In a way, the raisin is the sun, and it is the soil. In fact, the soil came probably from volcanic rock ages and ages ago before it was broken down. The nutrients in the soil came from plants and animals that have decomposed and provided nutrients for it. All that's in the raisin. And we're not done yet, because this raisin, when it was still a grape, it got picked by some laborer, or took it and put it maybe on some cardboard between the rows and left it out there to dry, or in a drying bin, until it dried enough to get the wrinkles that we see and the color that we see here. And then it had to be gathered up, packaged in some way, and put in a truck to go to a packaging plant that was put in the kind of container that you found it in at the grocery store. The trucker had to get it there, driving on miles and miles of road, which he couldn't do without gasoline, which came from the ground somewhere, some sort of petroleum product, and somebody built the truck. So it's everything. There's so much that went into getting this raisin to you here now, the grocery store, the clerk who you purchased it from when you got it off the shelf, and now here it is on your counter.
And there's probably raisins growing
in your hand. This one small raisin, everything's in this raisin: the sun, the sky, the rain. In a way, it's not separate from those. And that's really one of the lessons of mindfulness, is to discover that everything is connected. There isn't anything really that's totally separate from anything else. And now, if you want, actually to me it feels a little sacrilegious to do this, but if you want, you can eat this raisin. And maybe not as slowly as the first raisin, but give it some time. Really taste it. Hear it. Feel it. And over the next week, see if you can bring the same sense of curiosity and exploration to the things you do in daily life, like walking the dog, brushing your teeth, taking a shower, walking to the car on your way to work, or driving on the highway. Maybe you shouldn't do it driving on the highway just yet, but things where you can just really notice where you are and what you're doing. That's going to be your informal practice for this week. And for the 30-minute daily formal practice that you'll do, this will be a body scan. And you want to see if you can bring that kind of curiosity and attention to body sensation. And we'll guide you through that when you find the recorded session on the website. And for this week and beyond, whether it be with a body scan or a sitting meditation or a yoga, you want to be gentle with yourself with all of these practices. And even though you might remember from the Getting Started worksheet, you listed some things that you wanted to have happen, see if you can just let those go for a while and not have expectations of how your experience is supposed to be. Some people think that it ought to be peaceful, or it ought to be pleasant, or there ought to be some sort of wonderful peak experience, but just let your experience be your experience. And that's what we'll do with all of these experiences.
All right, so I actually found that to be pretty useful, and you can see
This body scan meditation.
You can see how clear it is that, mindfulness is the opposite of mindlessness. Like, there's just so much there in a raisin, right? There's a sweet flavor. When he said, "Can you hear the raisin?" I certainly, my first thought was, okay, now we're getting into the crazy woo woo. But if you try to like pop the skin of the raisin by your ear, like yeah, you can probably hear the raisin skin popping. You can probably hear a mushy sound if you really kind of go at it that you wouldn't hear if you didn't have a raisin between your fingers. So yeah, of course you can hear the raisin. Like it's not crazy. And yeah, there's a whole system of food production in the United States or wherever you are in the world that gets the raisin to you. And then there are wild raisins. In my case, I cook a lot with shallots. And there aren't shallots growing right outside my door, but there are prairie onions, which is a wild plant that's been consumed all throughout the history of North America, which is why it's in so much abundance, because I think it was purposely cultivated by as early as like by like after the settlement, like Civil War eras it was still being purposely cultivated and consumed. So yeah, there's wild prairie onions all over my backyard. At the same time, I'm going and buying onions for $1 from the store that don't taste as good and that aren't as fresh. So I don't know what the heck is up with that, but I'm gonna continue to buy them from the store. Okay, so the practice log. I have tried a wild prairie onion though. See, I'm just worried that like since it's kind of a highly trafficked area in my backyard that they're not super safe to consume. So that's why I'm buying them. But how clean is the grocery store? I feel like it's a lot less clean and it doesn't get sun purification. So they're good. They're really strong. Like if you want like a really strong onion flavor, like you just need to put like they're almost like raisins themselves. They come in little pods. So you just need like one little ball. It's almost like a BB of the wild prairie onion, and the whole dish will have a mild onion flavor. So I don't know. I might give cooking with it a try, but I think consuming wild plants takes a level of know-how that I'm kind of don't have, and I'm worried about poisoning myself. So I guess I would need to be more mindful of like what the conventions are. I don't know, man. Or just continue going to the store. All right. So anyway, today was my formal practice of the raisin and body scan. I don't know. So I don't think I did the body scan. So I'm not sure. Oh yeah. So I think I was supposed to do the body scan next, but that's going to be 32 minutes. I don't have 32 minutes. So interesting. Yeah, so I guess I'm not sure what to put down here because it's saying that I'll say that this was raisin meditation. Yeah, and then I won't put an entry down for the body scan. So make a comments. The comment's going to be despite there being wild prairie onions growing all over my backyard, I will continue to buy scallions from the store. Okay. That's kind of a funny thought when you think of like, oh, they put on a truck, the truck had fuel, the truck was assembled in a factory, and you think of all this massive infrastructure and processes that went into getting an onion in your kitchen, and then there's onions just growing right in your backyard. It's a funny thought. Okay, so I think that's it for this video. really happy with how it went with doing that raisin exercise. Unfortunately, I will need to do the body scan one next. I think if we go back and open that again. We can see that the instructions say not only to do the so it says on the first scan do the raisin. Okay. So here we go on the first day, raisin meditation. So then we're going to then for the next 5 days do body scan only. Okay. So let's 15 20 24 body scan meditation. So I'm going to highlight that because it's important. And then I'm going to say body scan. All right, and save that, and that's good. And then as problems arise in my life, such as wanting to violate my meal plan and continue to gain weight and continue my obesity problem, I'll fill out the informal practice log and just practice simple awareness. So see if you can bring uh, uh, so mindful awareness. I'll do that. So all it is mindful awareness. It's a simple informal practice. It doesn't take a half an hour like these body scan meditations will be. It can take 30 seconds. See, all you have to do is bring mindful awareness to what you're doing. And I would recommend pull up ChatGPT and ask it to help you to bring mindful awareness because it's pretty good at that. ChatGPT is far from perfect, but it's I think calling it up, I think it can operate at a useful level. So all right, so I'll save that in Word format. And with that, that's the end of this video. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next one where I do a body scan meditation, which might take a fair bit of time. So there might be only time for that one meditation in the next one. But I'll also, I think, try to remember and go back and fill out any informal practice I did. I'll do that on camera. And then the supplementary materials, if I have time, I'll go through those as well. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next one.